All right, welcome back to the North Star Takes podcast, your one-stop shop for Minnesota sports content and takes. Bailey Policki and Jacob Liberta with you here. You can find any of our videos on YouTube at North Star Takes podcast. You can also keep up with us on Instagram and Twitter as well. Once again, our goal is to have about 3 or 4 videos a week on various different sports topics that are going on. And today we're going to talk about the Minnesota Twins and Jacob Liberta. The Minnesota Twins are horrible.
I know, I'm getting caught with my foot in my mouth with my prediction about
yes,
a month
you
ago.
are.
I was like, they'll still make the playoffs. We're fine. Boy, that has not aged well, and that's a freezing cold take. So
Absolutely.
I'll admit on our video here that, yikes, that was a bad take. It was a bad prediction. So I guess I'll just own it. But yeah, I mean, Baseball Reference right now, they have their playoff odds at 0.2%. When we started the season at about a little over 60%. So that's
just unbelievable.
It's quite a decline. It's amazing how many things have gone wrong this year and how many things that we just missed the mark on as far as this roster makeup goes. So yeah. I feel like that's probably where I'd start with this conversation. But yes. I mean, you could really go anywhere you want because I mean, there's so many things wrong. I mean, where do you begin?
Yeah, that's the one. So. Yes, like you said, there's many things going wrong. I think 1A is just the players on this team have not performed like they're supposed to. The bullpen, horrible. Starting pitching, pretty horrible. Yep. The batting has not been nearly as good, although league-wide batting average is down considerably.
Sure. These guys got to stay on the field.
Yes, and there's this potential controversy of pitchers across the MLB possibly using foreign substances to, help them throw the ball a little bit.
What the game needs.
Yeah, exactly. Some more controversy, but. That's the thing. The players haven't played well, but 1B is everybody on this team is getting hurt.
I know.
Like everybody's on the IL this year except for Nelson Cruz and Jorge Polanco.
Yep, and even they've been day-to-day at points. So
yes.
It's like essentially they're almost on the IL anyway. So it's like literally nobody's been immune to it. And that's just like there's something fundamentally or structurally wrong that we're doing because I get that there's been a lot of injuries around baseball, but I don't think every team has had literally every single person in their lineup go on the IL at some point.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And we've talked about this before as well. Like maybe Rocco's management style is a little too lax. Like maybe he puts too much responsibility in the players' hands to get themselves ready. Maybe they're not quite in the shape they should be. But I'm almost wondering if this is a structural problem from the top down. Like, is this just a philosophy that's wrong? Like, are we putting too much trust in these players to get their bodies ready Or is it another thing where we don't want them to play through any injuries and make the injuries worse? I feel like 10 to 15 years ago, some of these injuries these players have, they just play through it.
Oh, yeah, just rub some dirt on it and you're good. Go back out there.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, you kind of wonder that because obviously as fans, we're not going to know like how impactful these injuries really are, like and how much it's really hampering them. So, I mean, all of it's just kind of a guess at this point. But still, it's like you wouldn't think everybody has injuries to the extent where, he's got to miss at least 2 weeks or something.
Yes.
Like, that seems kind of ridiculous. But
so, yeah, I mean, like you said, our playoff odds are at basically 0%. I mean, they're at last in the AL Central right now. They're below the Detroit Tigers, which is just an unbelievable low. I never thought we would get to this point.
Because the Tigers are literally in the middle of a full rebuild.
Yes, and we are not. Yep. We are in the middle of a push for a championship, and we're not even close. So,
not great.
So, yeah, the year is over. So, trade deadline's coming up here in about a month and a half or so. Yeah. So, I mean, who do you think we need to consider dealing, and who do you think will be dealt? I mean, you could make an argument for almost anybody on this team, I think.
I think you're right. I don't think anybody's really safe outside of, I'd probably say just the prospects that we brought up right now. Like, it wouldn't make any sense to trade any prospects on very team-friendly deals for a while now. So
right.
I think those are both basically the only people that are untouchable at this point. So the likes of Kirilloff and Larnach and everybody basically that we're bringing up. And then as far as like established veterans, I think obviously you got to start with guys who are on expiring contracts at the end of the year we only signed 1-year deals in the offseason. So I think first and foremost, you probably got to start with Nelson Cruz. He'll probably give you the most return on a trade of all the guys that are on expiring contracts. Obviously, it's different if you consider guys like Jose Barrios. I think you could really delve into the trade market with him because he's got team control for another year. So I think he'd probably get you a little bit more because he's a pretty good pitcher. Obviously, he hasn't turned into the ace that we'd like him to be. But the thing is that pitching's at high demand in baseball.
Yes,
so
it is.
Contenders can always use more pitching, so I think he'd return quite a bit. But as far as like hitters and guys in the lineup, I'd probably have to start with Nelson Cruz and work my way down from there, and then maybe start considering guys that are part of your core for a while, that maybe it's time to just move on. And guys like Miguel Sano, Max Kepler, even Jorge Polanco, I think they could all maybe use a fresh start. But I don't know, where would you start?
The only problem with this is like all these guys' trade value is at an all-time low right now.
I know, that's the thing.
They're all just having horrible seasons.
Yeah.
I saw Miguel Sano hit a home run in back-to-back games over the weekend here, but his batting average is still down in 160.
Exactly, because his bats, it's literally all or nothing. He's hitting home runs or he's striking out.
He's
the
ridiculous.
True three outcome hitter.
And that's kind of the greater problem with baseball in general is there's not a lot of variety in the plays that are happening. It's usually home run, strikeout, or walk. I mean, there's not a lot of in between. You don't see a lot of triples. You don't see even a lot of doubles anymore. So
exactly. That's the way. That's exactly what Miguel Sano is. He's a true modern day player.
But. Exactly. So and it would break my heart to see Nelson Cruz go, but it would have been nice to see him retire as a Twin. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
So yeah, I mean, it would make sense to trade him, get some good return. I do think they need to consider trading Jose Barrios as well, because yes, he's our best starting pitcher. No, that's not saying a lot. And I mean, you know, like you said, he hasn't quite turned into the pitcher we expected him to be. He's probably a good number 2, number 3 option on most teams.
Exactly.
They still haven't been able to like come to any sort of agreement at all on a contract extension, and this has been years in the making. Like every single year, he's turned down whatever offer they've given him, and so at this point, he's climbing into his mid-20s. He hasn't developed like you had hoped. Yeah, he's your best pitcher right now, but if you can trade him and get a good return, you got a couple prospects that we'll get into as well, Juan Duran and Jordan Balazovic.
Yeah.
You got some good guys coming up through the system, so yeah, you might have to tough it for a year or two at the starting pitcher position, but then if you can get those two up here, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's worth exploring. And obviously, if you don't think that the price is right on the trade market right now for Barrios, like you don't have to trade him because he's on an expiring contract. So it's all right. You can wait another year, and teams will still be just as desperate next year for pitching. So like, you can always wait, and because like team control, it's just nice. But I think. And maybe you can work on an extension in the offseason, maybe even for the foreseeable future. I mean, there's still plenty of options on the table, so it's okay to be patient with him. But guys like Cruz, like you mentioned, as much as it's kind of heartbreaking to lose one of our best player ever since he came into the clubhouse a couple of years ago, I think he's been just as consistent force in the lineup. It's time to move on just because he's on the expiring contract. So got to trade Cruz. I think you also got to trade Michael Pineda. He's on an expiring contract.
Yep.
I still think
he's been pretty good too. I mean,
exactly. He's a nice steady guy to have in rotation. So I think some team would give you a pretty decent return on him too.
For sure.
I'd also consider. I mean, who else is on expiring contract? Oh yeah, Alex Colomé for whatever he's worth.
Is Andrelton Simmons on expiring?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he signed a 1-year deal.
So I don't know if you get much at all for him. But
it's worth pursuing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like you said at the beginning of this, though, I think everybody's kind of on the table. I just think the only untouchable guys are just these prospects. But
yeah, like Kirilloff, Larnach, Royce Lewis, obviously, who that'll be tough too because he hasn't played baseball in basically 2 years. So as we kind of look towards the future here.
On the positive side.
Yes, on the positive side, hopefully.
Yeah.
What players are currently on the roster right now that you'd like to see stick around for the long-term future? And what prospects, I guess, are you most excited about coming up through the pipeline as well?
Yeah, those are great questions. I think the obvious candidates obviously on the roster right now, Kirilloff and Larnach. I think they can be mainstays in our outfield, which is really nice. And I think they've shown signs of improvement ever since they came up, albeit in limited bats. They seem to get better every time they go up there. So that's pretty reassuring. So I'm pretty confident in them.
Kirilloff just has the sweetest swing, too.
Exactly. So I think he could be a franchise cornerstone. And then Larnach can just hit moonshots. I mean, he already has a couple that are just bombs.
Right.
So that really intrigues me. Maybe that can replace like a guy like Miguel Sano's raw power in the lineup where maybe have Larnach have that pop and then Sano, it's not as necessary. Maybe you can explore moving him if you can get the right price on a return. So, and then as far as prospects that aren't up yet, but I think I'm pretty excited about. Obviously, the last couple first-round picks, you got Aaron Sabato, the just classic first baseman from North Carolina. Just a big dude, but he had all the analysts were saying he had basically the best power in the entire draft class besides Spencer Torkelson, who went number 1 overall. So that's really intriguing to me to just have the natural raw power. And then obviously you got Keone Cavaco, who's nice. He's going to be probably third baseman or shortstop. I'd imagine Royce will play shortstop, so this guy will probably play third once we're done with Donaldson. But he's always exciting as far as pitching goes. I'm pretty excited about Johan Duran, and obviously, like you mentioned, Jordan Balazovic as well. Both these guys can just throw heat.
Yes, which is what we need.
Exactly, and they strike a lot of guys out because they also have good breaking pitches. It just comes down to if they can translate in big leagues, and you won't know that till they come up here. And But for now, I can get really hyped about it, and I'd imagine we'll probably see both of them come the end of the season. So that's
you think both of them, huh?
I think both of them,
really?
honestly. Yeah, because I think Milosevic is in Double A right now, and then Duran's actually pitching with the Saints right now.
Yeah, so. I saw Duran was up, so I could definitely see him getting some run here. I didn't realize Milosevic was in Double A though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think we can see both of them, and especially if we move a lot of pitchers we already have that are worth anything right now at the trade deadline. So let's say you move on from Barrios, move on Pineda, maybe Maeda, I don't know, but. I think there's definitely opportunity there for guys to get starts that you haven't seen before. So
absolutely,
that's an exciting thing. And speaking of the pitching, I just want to throw on this quick fun fact that just occurred to me. I saw it on Twitter today, and yikes! In 102 innings between Jay Happ and Matt Shoemaker this year, in 102 innings, you know how many runs they've allowed? Take a stab at it.
I don't even want to know. I'm gonna say 85.
A little bit less, but 73.
Oh man,
that's just horrible. That's absolutely awful. Like I was saying about missing the mark on the roster makeup, like that's completely missed.
But I was preaching that before the season. I said you cannot go bargain bin shopping for a team that's this good.
That's
you can't fill out the rest of your rotation with bargain bin guys. Shoemaker's problem was the injury history, but he's also older. Yeah. You can't expect to get anything out of him.
Fair.
And then it's like, oh well, Randy Dobnak's can be kind of our sixth option if one of these guys doesn't work out. He's been horrible too. They've had to send him down to St. Paul. So like, I don't know. It just. Like you said, they completely missed the mark, and I don't know.
I thought we'd get more value out of them. I wasn't super excited about them, but I thought they'd at least be able to fill out our rotation, but they've just been awful. And it's just we obviously got to find other options, but at this point it doesn't really matter because we're not making a playoff run. So I mean, I just want to see our prospects get time, see what they look like, give them a good feel for the game, and give them any experience we can this year in a lost season. So one
last thought here, kind of dipping into the future as well. Sure. Say we trade Nelson Cruz, which we probably do.
Yep.
Who is the designated hitter? And, like, will that be the long-term outlook for the designated hitter? Like, will it be Josh Donaldson, and then will, like, Arias just play third? Or will it be Miguel Sano, and then they throw Kirilloff at first or something? You know, like, which do you think is more likely?
It's a great question. Honestly, I got to lean more towards making Sano the designated hitter just because I think Donaldson still gives you pretty good glove at third. So I think they probably want to keep him there as long as possible and move Sano into the DH. Have Kirilloff play first. And theoretically, if you're not, like, let's say you don't trade Kepler or something, like I could see him getting traded, but maybe that's more of an off-season move, if anything. But maybe assuming everybody's healthy, that never happens around here. But I mean, if everybody is healthy, I mean, maybe you can see like a Kepler out in right, and then you can see Buxton out in center, and you can have Larnach out in left, and have Kirilloff play first, and Sano can be the DH. But I could see a path towards that. But then, like you said, it's valid to bring up Donaldson transitioning to the DH just because of his injury history and his soft tissue injuries. So I think that's always a possibility there too.
And one last thought too as well here. I mean, I think hopefully they can get something for Andrelton Simmons because I just feel like he hasn't brought anything to this team.
No, he's got a great glove at short in my opinion, and his bat was never going to be like great. I think he's honestly been serviceable for being as low in the lineup as he is. He hits like 250 or something. Like I can live with that from him. But
in terms of like the future outlook of this team, I think like I know you wanted to move Polanco back to second, but honestly, just move him back to short. Have Arias be your second baseman. I think that's his best spot.
Unless you want to give Nick Gordon some run.
Or possibly Nick Gordon as well. But I think Polanco basically just needs to be the placeholder at shortstop until Royce Lewis is ready.
That's fair.
Because I think Polanco, obviously, he's been declining a little bit, and I could honestly see injuries just kind of ending his career a little earlier than what he hopes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of baseball players that only play until like 30 years old. So
let's hope it's not the case. But yeah, I mean,
I hope it's not. But
it's a realistic possibility.
Yes. You know, I just think you don't need to mess around with like an Andrelton Simmons. Just Polanco, he wasn't great at shortstop. He hasn't been great at second either, I don't think. So I think, just let him be the placeholder for a year or two until Royce Lewis is ready to go. And then obviously your team will be different at that point. Donaldson will be gone. You'll be able to move some other pieces around. So
fair. That's the thing. It's like talking about these prospects and moving around, making transitions in the lineup and out in the field and stuff. I'm actually pretty excited about the outlook of this team. I know this season's a lost cause, but as far as like our lineup goes, I'm still not really that concerned about it because I don't. Obviously, we're getting guys that are aging, obviously, but the thing is, I also think we have pretty good prospects in the minors that I think can come through, at least some of them, hopefully. So I'm still feeling bullish long term, but obviously we need more pitching, and hopefully if Milosevic and Duran, if they can be quality arms in our rotation, I'll feel good about the team again right away, like next year or the year after.
I agree with you there, and it's like you said, it's really it's just about the potential that each one of these guys has in the lineup. It's obviously nobody's living up to their potential this year.
No.
Maybe next year's different if you keep a few of these guys around.
Exactly. So hopefully this is rock bottom.
Absolutely.
I hope we can't get worse than this.
Yeah,
But
I do too. So that will do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Be sure to like our videos and subscribe to our channel on YouTube and give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter as well. And feel free to reach out to us in the comments about any thoughts you have on the future of the Minnesota Twins.